thought we'd look at some Abel for bass viol. So this is the first movement from Sonata number 1 from a set of 6 easy sonatas for bass. There's a link underneath the video to an online edition of it. The solo part is in treble clef. If that worries you, there are some other editions of it on there as well. There's definitely an edition by Peters that's published. I'm sure there are others, so you should be able to find a clef that suits you. It's in C major, and we're just looking at the first movement. So should we have a look at the first section and let's see what happens. So just the first section then. Let's have a look at some of the things that we might need to think about. The very first thing, I'd definitely start on a back bow. When you've played the first C, don't take that finger off until you need it. There. This pair, I used a 4th finger to save slurring across the string. And the same again there. And here. So that's in the triplets, the last set of triplets. I started on a 4. Those 2 crotchets, particularly the bottom one, not at all important, and doubled by the bass part in fact, so it wouldn't matter if you didn't play it. So there's no need to really kind of hammer that one when you get there. Just make sure you've got time for a really clean string cross so we don't hear the E string on the way. I thought long and hard about the bowing for the next bit. I couldn't decide whether I wanted a forward bow on there, and I kind of did want one on the top, but it caused problems later on, so I've decided to start forward at the beginning of that bar. This is nice. So is this. And again there, don't let that C go until you need that finger to play the F. Definitely stronger on the trill, weaker on the D. I find sometimes that people, when there's lots of notes to fit into a bow, somehow we manage to run out. So in the bar with the 6 notes together in one long slur, it looks like quite a lot of notes to fit into one bow, but actually if you think about it, there's a minim at the beginning of that bar. You've got plenty of bow for that. The 6 triplets just fit into the same amount of bow, so there's no way we should run out. If we had enough for a minim going that way, we should have enough for a minim coming this way. So just don't panic. I think what happens is people use loads of bow on the first 1 or 2 and then run out at the end. So just distribute your bow really carefully. 4th finger. Haven't moved. Yeah, so leave that D to ring and to speak while your bow finds the A string, and this chap is still playing the D at the bottom. 4th finger trill again. Open string on that one, 4th finger on this one. Now this next bit, I think the feature of this is to have the open top string. You could take out a lot of the string crossing by using a 4, but there's something really nice about having lots of strings going there. And fingering wise, if you put a 2 on the G, it hasn't moved. 3 for the C. My G still hasn't gone anywhere. I've played the whole of those 4 bars without this chap moving anywhere at all. Really useful, really good harmonically because it keeps that G sounding, but also just really useful if you're looking for a G. There it is, it's where you left it 4 bars ago, so it's helpful to keep that down. Here he is again, look. Marvellous. So, the thing about this stuff, a couple of tips for that. One is that you can definitely play those 2 strings together. You could probably play all 3 if you came away from the bridge. So if you find yourself moving miles with this arm, you're definitely working too hard because the E string's here and the D string is there. So if there's lots and lots of flapping about going on over here, you're definitely working harder than you need to. Start it really slowly, so that there's no messing about in the middle. Can't do it. And then here's a top tip for speeding things up. So pick a speed where you know you can play it. So that's quite steady. This is 84. Maybe that's a bit quick. This is 76. Comes and knocks on the door. When you can play it really comfortably at that speed, increase it by 4 and you'll hardly notice the difference, but it is a little bit quicker. Knocks on the door. Once you've got it happily at that speed, 4 more on the metronome. Just keep going up in 4s. I wouldn't add more than 4 because you'll frighten yourself. Just keep adding it really gradually, and before you even really thought about it, you'll find yourself really considerably quicker than you were when you started. And I call it the stealth approach, so you kind of creep up on yourself without even realising. And then it's going to be bars like that, isn't it, that dictate what kind of speed we can play the thing at. So shall we? We've reached 84. Why don't we try that section at that speed? I'm not going to make it tick all the way through, it'll drive us mad. So after 3 then. 1, 2, 3. Let's go on into the next section. Starts with the same thing but lower, and same principle. Keep that G down until you need your second finger. 4, 4, 4, 4. Actually, that should have been 4, shouldn't it? The last set of triplets. But I hope the G's in tune by the time you get there. You haven't played him for a while, and those covered strings tend to get sharp, don't they? We're all right though. And again, just no need to really hammer that one. Just touch, and it will ring on. Forward bow again for this next bit, I think. It's nice bowing this way round. More important, less important. Forward bow. I like those short. And again, keep this second finger down. So the top G, it's a really long note, isn't it, by comparison to most of the things we've got here. So I'm just adding extra weight as I go through with that middle finger, so that the sound just kind of blossoms across the bar line and falls away down there. So we've got 2 short crotchets. Let that one grow. 4th finger. Doesn't need anything on there, does it? The top one, much more important. And here we are back where we started. 4th finger. 4th finger. 4th finger. In that bit, I think that first note is maybe not so important, but it changes its mind kind of halfway through and carries on. I like a 1 on this D, because then I'm in the right place to get to the 4 on that. So hold it down while you cross the string, and then move your 1 at the absolute last minute. Here's another string crossing bit. Got a challenge for you. How long can you hold the bottom note of each set down? So So if you think of this as chords, there's one chord, here's the next one, and that B doesn't need to move, does it? Here's the C, you can stay for the whole thing. B, C. Hold this down while you cross the string. Should we try the whole of that section? Just let's give ourselves the same sensible speed that we were at before. So we were 84. Just while we're learning it, nothing too speedy. Second section, then I'll count you in. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3. So far so good, but the problem is it says Vivace at the top. So we do actually need it to go quite considerably quicker than that. So what I would suggest is that you pick the speed that you can play the most difficult bits at, and whichever bit it is that you have the most trouble with, just isolate those 2, 3, 4 bars. Pick a speed where you can play it absolutely correctly every time. It doesn't matter how slow it is. Use the stealth approach, notch the metronome up a little bit at a time until you get to something that's more closely approaching Vivace. And then we'll try the whole lot all the way through. What we're going to do now is play the whole thing through at a reasonably sensible, steady-ish speed. I have recorded the bass part. So this funny looking thing that's appeared on the table is a speaker. So if this works, the bass line's going to come out of here. It's going to count us in a whole bar and 3. And then we can play the top part together. It's got all the repeats. The metronome is at 106. now I've notched the speed up, so this is 120 on the metronome, and again it will count as a bar and 3 beats in. See you at the end.